Does your shin hurt while you're walking, running, or playing sports? Today in this video, I'm going to explain to you what's causing your shin discomfort and what you can do about it. Let's go! Hi, I'm Melanie the Physio, also the co-founder of Capital Physiotherapy here in Australia. Shin pain is also what we commonly known as shin splint. And they are derived because of the stress that you put on your shin bone and the surrounding connective tissue. Now, shin splint, you can feel it on the inside of your shin or on the outside of your shin. Now, we also have a video that's delegated for pain on the inside of your shin down to your ankle, so I highly recommend you check that video out after this. Shin splint generally happens to someone who is new to a sport or new to running because you are starting to load up your shin bone, and because they're not used to the amount of stress that you're putting on them, that's when people are most susceptible to develop shin pain. Although it's more common for new people starting new sports or running as a beginner, it can also happen to returning runners, so people who have taken a long break from a particular sport or from running and they start running again, that's when generally people start experiencing shin splint. And most of the time, it's derived from doing too much too quickly. Some of the more common signs and symptoms of shin splint are pain along your shin. It can be, like I said, on the inside of your shin, like the inner part of your shin bone, or the outer part of your shin bone, and sometimes it can go all the way down to your ankle. They generally happens with runners who are running, and it happens in the beginning of your run, but as you warm up, the pain will start to go away, and then when you stop, they might sort of come back again, that throbbing pain. In the beginning and the early sign of shin splint, the pain might stop the moment you stop any exercise or you stop any activity that's aggravating it. But eventually, if you don't fix the problem, they will gradually build to the point that everything you do will just start to hurt whether or not you're playing sports. And if this continues and you're still not fixing it, it might actually lead to stress fracture on the shin bone. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips and exercise on what you can do today to start fixing this problem. Let me know down in the comment below what kind of activities that you do tends to trigger your shin splint symptoms. The first tip I have for you is to ice and start using anti-inflammatory drops. Now, if you're experiencing acute pain on your shin every time you're exercising at the moment, that means your shin bone and the surrounding connective tissue has been irritated and has a little bit of swelling going on there. So the first thing to do is to settle that swelling, and to do that, you will need to ice it, and you need to start taking some anti-inflammatory to start settling the swelling down. The next tip is to look at your footwear. Now, if you have been wearing that footwear for a while, that means that the shock absorption capacity for that footwear must have worn down, and therefore it's not absorbing as much shock as they should when you originally bought them. And that can in turn leads to more shock going up to your shin bone, and in turn leads to your shin pain at the moment. Finding shoes that would help absorb the shock while you're running or playing sports will help significantly reduce the load you put on your shin bone and the muscles around your leg. This is especially true for people who have either flat feet or a higher than normal foot arch. So if you're already experiencing shin pain, I suggest that you look at your footwear and change it to a more supportive one and see if that will help reduce your symptom. Now, if you do have flat feet, we have a video that specifically talk about flat feet and their related issues. So I highly recommend you check them out after this video. Now, when people come into our clinic with shin pain, there are two specific muscle groups that we look at that are generally the contributor of the pain. Now, if you have pain on the inside of your shin, we will look at the muscle, which is what we call Tibialis posterior. And if you have pain on the outside of your shin or just right on the front of your shin, then we will look at the muscle called Tibialis anterior. Now, these two muscles attach on your shin bone and can be overloaded which then in turn put pressure on the shin bone itself, leading to the pain that you're feeling right now. Now, in order for you to start offloading these muscles, first of all, we need to start loosening them to make sure that they're in a good length to activate properly, and then we need to strengthen them to increase the endurance of these muscles so then they can take more load before they start fatiguing and before they start loading onto the shin bone. So to foam roll your tibialis posterior, we first need to get you a foam roller, and I'll put a link down in the description box below on where you can get them online. Now you want to put the foam roller horizontally in the middle of your back of your legs. And what you want to do is you want to put one foot on top of the other, so you're putting your entire weight on the rolling legs. You don't want to use your hand to push up so that your bum lifts off the floor. And you want to rotate your whole body to the inside of your leg and then roll them up and down. You should feel that certain spots are more painful than the other. Now I want you to stay on the painful spot and oscillate them up and down with little oscillation for about a good 30 seconds before you move on to another painful spot. Find about 4 to 5 painful spots around this area and oscillate 30 seconds on each spot. Repeat this exercise at least once to twice a day. Next, we then need to look at how you foam roll your tibialis anterior muscles. Now, because this muscle is at the front of your shin bone, you need to come into kneeling position and put the foam roller right on the shin bone itself, more slightly on the outside of the shin bone. Now you want to lean forward and put your whole body weight onto that shin and then start rolling them up and down. Same thing as the previous exercise, you want to find a spot that's particularly painful. Stay there and oscillate about 20 to 30 oscillation on that sore spot and then move on to find another sore spot. Again, you want to find about 3 to 4 sore spots around these muscles and then repeat this process at least once to twice a day. If you like this video so far, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and bell notification button right now, because we will have a lot more shin related topic coming up in the very near future. Now once you've loosened those muscles, now we will look at increasing the endurance of these muscles. So to strengthen your tibialis posterior, you need a tennis ball or any sort of ball that you can find really. Try to put the ball in between your heels and squeeze them tight. Now squeeze the ball tight and come up into a heel rise and slowly lower them back down again. Now repeat this process for 30 repetitions and you should feel that the back of your leg or almost like your calf area is getting fatigued. Do this exercise once a day. Now the next exercise is to strengthen your tibialis anterior muscles. Now you will need a resistance band for this exercise, and again I'll put a link down in the description box below so you know where to get them online. Now you want to tie a fairly strong resistance for this exercise, almost medium to heavy strength. Now hook that over the front of your foot and then tie the resistance on something really stable like a sturdy table or a sofa or the legs of your bed maybe. Now bring yourself as far back as you can so then you already feel a bit of tension pulling on that resistance band. Now what I want you to do now is to pull your foot up towards yourself and then relax it down again. Now repeat this process and you should feel that the front of your shin is starting to get fatigued. Repeat this exercise until the point of fatigue and repeat it for 3 sets. So it's not the numbers that's important, you basically just keep going until you're fatigued and then have a rest and then repeat it for 3 sets. Do this exercise once a day. Now the next tip I have for you is to try reducing the amount of load that you're putting on your shin bone. Well, the first thing you can start changing is to change up your exercise routine a little bit. So for example, if you're a runner, I would say change up your exercise to maybe cycling or swimming instead. So you're still training up your stamina, but you're not loading up that shin bone at the moment. At least for the moment that you're still feeling the shin pain, that's something that I would suggest to you. Now, another way to reduce the load on your shin bone is to not increase the intensity of the exercise. So for example, if you're running and it's painful while you're running at the moment, then for this period of time where you're still experiencing discomfort, don't increase the running distance at the moment. So that is to prevent you from adding more load that your shin bone is already taking at the moment, so that you don't worsen the symptoms more. Now, the other way to reduce the load on your shin bone is to then increase the strength on your other joint muscles. So increase the strength of your ankle, increase the strength of your knee and your hip, so then the other joint would be able to take more load. So then in turn, reduce the load that you put on the shin bone itself. Now, the next tip to reduce the load of your shin bone is specifically tailored for runners, is to reduce your stride length and increase your cadence instead. By shortening your running stride while increasing your cadence, this may help you generate better stride mechanics because you put less load on your feet, shin and knees. Normally, I recommend the cadence to be 90 per minute or 180 steps per minute. And the best way to practice this cadence speed or the cadence step is to use a metronome. Most of the time with my clients that come in with Shin Splint, I'll get them to download a metronome app on their phone, and while they're running, to put up the metronome to 180. So every beat that you hear is every new step that you need to take. It's not gonna happen straight away because that's not the way you normally run, but give it a couple of months of practicing. Eventually, you will start feeling that this beat becomes your normal running speed. And that is the best way and the most efficient way in terms of cadence for running. And if you can then run at this cadence, it would significantly improve the efficiency and the load dispersal of your running. If you'd like to learn more about running, head on to our private Facebook page at Ask Mel the Physio. In there, you would have access to all the free PDF that we have up to this point with similar related problems, as well as all the other free educational booklet that we will have from now onwards. We have a whole playlist in our channel that's delegated for different area of pain and discomfort. Even though the title might not suit you, I still highly recommend you check them out because you might be able to find exercise in those videos that would help you with your situation right now. I upload video here on a weekly basis on health and fitness related topic as well as injury rehab topic. Once again, I'm Melanie and I will see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, happy and healthy. Good luck with your exercises. See ya!